Why are you seeing 333 everywhere you go? On the sales receipt, on the back of somebody's license plate. Every time you look at the clock, 222 appears. What is going on? What is going to happen here in the near future, or what is it prompting you to give consideration or energy to? Well, in this video, we're actually going to be talking just about that. My name is Nico, aka Scarlet Moon, Path Watcher, Tarot Reader, Astrologer, and Magical Practitioner. When we talk about numerical sequences as signs and omens, it's important to understand that this is actually occurring in the now for you because you are getting a very present and very relevant prompt or maybe bit of information from your own universal, source connection, however you define that source connection. This could actually be coming from, a higher self perspective, an oversoul connection, your own direct source connection, or perhaps even through a special sort of spiritual team that you might have, angels, guides, deities, ancestors. And the cool thing about numerical sequences is that this is one of the more all-inclusive ways that we see communication happening across many different spiritual paths and practices. Now, because of that, I've actually had to do a little bit of work in distilling the information to only find the most universal correspondences, the most universally consistent correspondences and associations when it comes to these numbers, when it comes to these signs and omens. As with my video on dimensions, remember, it's important to understand that this is not meant to either affirm or deny any particular spiritual path up the mountain for you. This is meant to be an assistance. This is supposed to be a helpful framework, and this is actually, again, just a jumping off point. It's important to remember that we don't want to necessarily become armchair practitioners, armchair energy workers, armchair light workers, armchair magicians, armchair, anything, really. Direct experience is the most crucial part and component of your spiritual path and your spiritual evolution, right? Looking up testimonies online or running back to the books or running back to a religious figure is not actually the same as having a direct spiritual experience, and therefore it doesn't really accrue experience points the same way, speaking in video game terms. So why is this happening? Well, when it comes to spiritual number omens, it's important to understand, first and foremost, that they are happening in that moment for a reason, to bring your attention back to the present moment or the nearest present moment, right? We're talking about a prompt regarding something that has either happened very, very recently, that is happening in the now, or is just coming around the bend. While comparing my experience with others, as well as, again, doing my own study these past 20 years, it's become very apparent that these signs, symbols, and omens not only show up when we are in alignment, right, with our source, our higher intelligence, our higher self, our oversoul. We are actually in that, self-realized space. We are in connection with our true selves, but also that they are speaking directly, again, to an experience that has either transpired within the last 24 to 48 hours or is about to transpire within the next 24 to 48 hours or immediately. So this is definitely not, a sign, symbol, or an omen that is speaking about something that could be months or weeks or years to come. It is drawing your attention back to a shift in the present moment. That being said, when we talk about the numbers themselves, I've also needed to distill, again, the information down to the most consistent universal truths. Again, through my own studies, we talk about numerology, Western mysticism, Eastern mysticism, for examples of those being the Kabbalah or, Shinto and Taoism. We're also going into discussions of, again, tarot, astrology. We're talking about, looking at these sequences, and breaking down the most universal truths, getting away from more of the religious literature and into more of the focus on the truth and the consistent truth across the messages across the board. That can actually prove to be very helpful, I think, as well, because when we get sort of the baseline prompts, again, this will also help you to establish your own forms of correspondence, your own direct experiential, correspondences and information for yourself, because you're always going to have your own personal way of communicating when it comes to spirit. It's not always going to be something, again, that can be directly referenced or outsourced to another person's experience. In this video, we're going to be talking about homogeneous palindromic numbers. Homogeneous being the same, back and forth, right? And we've also got palindromic, read the same, back and forth. Right, so it's a symmetrical reading. These are your 111s, your 555s, your 333s, and your 777 types of numbers. And this will also help you to get an understanding of each number, 0 through 9 itself, from a multi-system perspective, in order to also help you understand how to read and interpret things that are a little bit more complex, or again, start to, expand beyond the boundaries of these, again, much more concrete and clear to read signs and symbols. So now that the foundation has been set, let us talk about the numbers themselves. And remember, when it comes to looking at numbers in terms of synchronicities, in terms of omens, in terms of signs and messages and, spiritual communications, the digits 0 through 9 are what we focus on. We're not going to be reducing these because I'm going to be talking about them in terms of the sequence of 3, because those are the most common and those are the ones that, again, are the best place to start. And we'll expand on more in later videos. I can't answer all of it in one video because I will lose track of myself. So, 0, 0, 0. Let's just start right from the very, very beginning. 0, 0, 0 shows up when we have a prompt to clear, or to allow something to be cleared. When we talk about 0, 0, 0, we're talking about erasure, or possibly a clean slate needing to be made, room needing to be made for the opportunity or for the manifestation we're working on or the experience we are actually trying to have. If you're seeing 0, 0, 0 a lot, there can be actually a message coming to you that's saying, look, you might be full, you might actually be at capacity when it comes to how many different types of, occurrences, commitments, attachments, or manifestations you can have going on simultaneously in your reality will allow. And there may be a need to allow certain things to leave because these attachments, certain ones, not all of them, but certain attachments, are actually precluding the beginning or the addition or incorporation of a new level of the experience that you want to have. 0, 0, 0 can also ask us to, take a good hard look at our attachment to things like means and narratives. Is there a certain thing that you're trying to create or a certain experience you're trying to have by a very strict code of conduct or a very strict narrative that you are working with? Or maybe there is a certain set of tools or a certain means that you're particularly attached to in order to realize that outcome. Let it go. Let it go. Because again, it may not necessarily be you, after all, then, who is not a vibrational match, but the tools, the means, the script, the narrative, and the conditioning by which you are trying to enact or create this experience that are actually precluding that experience substantiating and becoming real for you. Remember, this will occur and bring a very clear message about something that you have been involved in or preoccupied in the moment or within the previous 24 to 48 hours or the following 24 to 48 hours. It will be made clear. But whenever there's a chance to, again, release and let it go, let it go. Let's talk about 1, 1, and 1. So 1, 1, 1 shows up when we talk about initiation, the beginning, the planting of a seed that will substantiate into a bountiful harvest, something that will actually be a new beginning that has a chance to flourish. The energy or the environment itself is most fertile and most supportive at this point in time, and it's important for you to be making the first move. Now, this can indicate, making the first move when it comes to putting something in motion, whether it is making an important phone call, filing an application, or putting something in motion even spiritually through ceremony, prayer, ritual, meditation, active manifestation. doing something to set the energy in motion so that it actually can go out and blossom forth with everything so rich and again so supportive and abundant at that time. What often happens with 111 is that we are being told, person, make the first move. Make a move in the direction here. Do not wait for more prompts. Do not wait for someone else to initiate. Do not wait for someone else, to be the assertive one. 111 is indicating you have to start the ripple effect if you wish to benefit from the ripple effects of this energy. This can often be a very reassuring thing as well, because it can also say what you will initiate will be met with some kind of affirmative, either from the other parties involved, from the universe, or again, there will be some kind of affirmation or again, positive response, supportive response, if you again take that direct action as quickly as you can. Again, in the now preferably, but again, relating to a matter of priority that could, you want to do within the next 24 to 48 hours, ideally as close as you can to when you see the omen. So this can mean, as soon as you see this omen or this message, or as quickly as you can, take a break from mowing the lawn and do some meditating. You see it on a walk, sit down, say a prayer, say an affirmation, make that phone call. Okay, as soon as you get home or get to a safe spot, take a minute, and dedicate some energy in the direction where you wish this to flow. Because again, the energy is most supportive to that priority the closer we are to that 0 point moment. Send your pure intention in that direction. 222. 222s often talk about the time being right for collaboration, integration, and combination. Now, this can be very beneficial, especially for those of you who are feeling like you are looking to recruit maybe a partner or a collaborator, or to integrate even, something that is not a person into your work or into your goal or into your priority. Because with 222, it's talking about a need to integrate complementary energies for a blend that will make a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. And this can actually be a really cool prompt, because what it also teaches us and gives us the opportunity to do is expand, and also create a stronger field of influence, a stronger energy by combining forces here, whether it's, again, combining forces with another literally, or integrating something new into something that, again, seems to be doing okay on its own, but is ready to actually grow and start to integrate and combine with more. With the 222 energy, you're asked again to be welcoming to new opportunities, or again to consider welcoming in partner opportunities, be they long-term or temporary, integrating in more help, but also at the same time realizing that a symbiotic relationship between both of your guys' experiences, or both life streams of these types of environments or these types of priorities or manifestations, are going to be feeding into one another as well. We're seeing both elements starting to blend and again start to combine to be greater in a new whole than they are as simple sums of their individual constituents. And this is again a mutually beneficial thing for whatever we are combining. Moving on to 333. We're talking about an opportunity for some serious expansion going on. And with 333, we talk about growth, exponential growth, happening to something that you are working with or you're focusing on right now. It's a prompt that is also letting you know, should you choose to allow it, again, it's something that we have been giving maybe a certain measure of priority, a certain measure of focus, is going to be growing into something a lot bigger than you are currently dealing with or currently handling at this present moment. And that could actually be a really good thing. We could be expanding on, opportunities for wealth, for growth, or again, something that we've been giving a lot of our time and energy to is about to evolve into a new, I guess you could say, a new normal. Now with 333s, this can also be seen as an initiatory number, a prompt for you, just like with 111, to put something out there and expect a big splash. It can also indicate that what you put out there could actually end up having a quicker or much more expedient result than if you were to simply, wait until you got a 111, which, by the way, you should not be waiting for any of this at all to, be doing any of your personal work. A lot of the times with 333 showing up as well, we are seeing a certain priority or a certain connection that we have or a certain manifestation, something that we're working on, needing more space to grow in. It could be something saying like, this is going to become a little bit more intense very soon. A little, we could be adding an extra layer of depth to a relationship. This could be also asking for us to spend a little bit more of a dedicated time on something, or something is going to be requiring a little bit more focus because, again, it's suddenly getting bigger. The responsibilities as well as the rewards are going to be growing here for you. And if you wish to make something big happen for yourself, or again, you wish to take this energy or this opportunity to grow and expand on, something that you already have that you wish would sort of, again, maybe evolve in size or expand in size, in potency, and in power, well, with 333, that is exactly the chance or the prime opportunity to do so. 444 is all about milestones. You've probably heard me say that in tarot card horoscopes as well. Fours are about milestones, sort of, I guess you could say, a new foundation for everything to be set on. Fours are a stabilizing number, and when we have 444, we talk about something kind of reaching, again, a stage in its evolution following that 333. We're hitting a no going back at this point, right? There's no going back. There's sort of a new normal being created when it comes to either a routine, an agreement, or something, again, that we're committed to. This can also indicate something that was once an intangible idea getting its chance to be tangible. We're actually allowing for something that, has yet to fully substantiate, suddenly materialize in your physical experience. 444 can also talk about longevity, something that has shown up in your experience or something that you're working on at the time of, seeing this sign or this omen, realizing that it's going to become a longer commitment. Something is being stabilized or, again, taking root that is allowing you to actually elongate that experience if you want, or the experience itself is being elongated. And it's important to make your decisions one way or another, whether or not you wish to continue to participate or what that, elongated experience is going to be looking like. We've got stronger walls and foundations and supports for whatever is going on for you. Again, especially in and around the 24 to 48 hours prior or up and coming, or again, what you're dealing with in that now moment, that allow you to actually make it so and make it safe and make it strong for yourself, adding extra stability, but also at the same time adding longevity. 555s can often be seen as maybe, something to be judged as negative. I, again, encourage people to look at this with a sense of neutrality and not allow themselves to, again, sink into the lower ego habit and conditioning of splitting everything into simple black and white. Remember, the lower, 3D experience can't cope with a gray area. It just can't. It kind of requires too much of a fixed, simple, straight and narrow, and there's such a more vibrant experience when you can kind of get beyond splitting into black and white duality. 555s, however, can indicate something shaking things up, a disruption, possibly conflicting energies. And this often will show up when you are being cued to pay attention to where a certain opportunity, something that you're working on, either is going to be a disruption, or that a disruption or a distortion is going to be showing up in your experience for you to deal with. 555 can sometimes show up where we need to be ready not to be shaken by a certain challenge, or again to maybe optimize, fix, or do some troubleshooting with an initiative or a piece of work that we are doing that is actually a disruption or a dissonance in the influence of something else that we also deem important in our, in our work and what we're dealing with in the present moment. 666 is a number that has some connotations, but 666 ultimately follows the same stream as 1 and 3, and we'll get to 9. 666 is all about gain, it's about growth, it's about achievement, but at the same time it can be about attachment and the need to be mindful when it comes to things potentially attaching to you through what is presenting itself as support or a positive opportunity or experience. 666 can show up as interference, whether it's welcome interference or unwelcome interference as well. The reason a lot of people associate 666 with evil and negativity and the devil and, things that are demonic is because it is a warning against attachment, getting bound into things like contracts and spiritual legalities, the creation of attachments and things that could be binding as far as, again, this experience is concerned. When 666 shows up, it's an opportunity for achievement, especially when it comes to the material world. But you have to make sure as well that you're being mindful to keep your freedom in mind. It may not be worth it all the time to be making contracts and lasting commitments during this kind of energy influence. And some of the things that we think may be only for the short term could be attached to us for a great deal. Sometimes this can also show up kind of like a 000. We need to pay attention to certain attachments that we have that may actually be creating obstacles for us rather than creating opportunities for us. There could be literal contracts, be they legal contracts or leases, agreements, accounts, or figurative or spiritual contracts with individuals, or maybe even, again, attachments to narratives, stories, old karmic, stories and things like that, that we do need to be focusing on clearing and getting the record straight with when this shows up, because this is also a warning. Again, while this can be good, there could also be a price. Luckily, there's always a way to, again, with our free will, make the most of any of these situations, and so it's important not to let yourself get scared by 666, but again, understand with neutrality that the possibility of a contract or an attachment or, again, a commitment that lasts longer than you might want is possible. And so we don't want to let ourselves get, caught off guard or surprised. We have to pay attention to the agreements we are making and what agreements we are allowing to sort of have their way or their experience their way in ours. 777, the holy number, is all about intervention, intercession, time for surrender, and time for allowance. This is where Source, God, your spiritual team, so to speak, your ancestors, your angels, your deities, your guides, are opening up an opportunity for you to surrender control of your current circumstances to them, and you are actually urged to please surrender those circumstances to them, because you are going to find, as you allow that to actually unfold, to be a little bit more hands-off, something is actually going to be fixed, or may actually, again, be better handled by the intervener or the interceder, in this case, allowing you to, again, move forward with your plan and your ideals, again, but also practicing that allowance, letting go of attachment to certain narratives and certain means, or maybe, again, paths that other people have taken to get where you want to go. Certainly we don't want to do this out of imitation, and allowing, again, your own higher guidance, your own higher extensions of yourself to take control, to allow yourself to be assisted with the 777. You actually practice that allowance and that surrender and allow that deliverance to happen. 888s are all about things speeding up. Messages, acceleration, and the expediting of something that you have already put into motion. something that is already out there in the universe is happening very, very quickly during this time, and it may be requiring you to give it some attention even faster than you thought you would need to. Something requiring more immediacy, and again, allowing for you to be flexible because something is going to require your immediate response, input, or action. When we see 888s, expect a lot of communications and fast developments. Again, things that you could have been waiting on or you were told to wait on are actually culminating and developing a lot faster than you could have expected. Things that people say may have taken weeks or even days to complete are suddenly happening in hours, and you have a chance to really move forward here. But with 888, it's also very important to understand that things are turning on a dime. It's okay to assert some boundaries if things are happening too fast, but it's also, you know, a sign that things can be moving much more quickly for you if you are ready and allowing. 999, it's all about fruition. It's all about things coming to culmination. There is the completion of a story happening here. And with 999s, whether it's a happy completion or maybe an unsatisfactory completion of a story, it's an ending nonetheless. 999s will show up when it's time to see where something is finally paying off and paying attention to the outcome and looking at the outcome as just what it is, an outcome. We may see the results that we have to understand and conclude are the truth about something that we have already been working on. Is something working or not working this way? Is something working or not working with this person? Is there a payoff here? You may be seeing a payoff and a payout for your actions, works, and your deeds. You may be actually seeing that there is some kind of result that is ready to take place that is going to show you that, again, one chapter is ending and we're at the space between the now and the beginning of the new chapter. 999s can indicate that something has gone as far as it can go as it is, and it's time for another evolution. 3 times 3, another expansion. Time to promote, time to grow, time to, you know, have this sort of evolve into an even bigger version of itself once again. But that's because, again, we are actually seeing, I guess you could say, the end of a certain story's timeline. Now, it can continue into another chapter, or in some cases, it can also show up where it's time to close the book on something. But we will be having a payoff and a culmination nonetheless. So the 999s show up, pay attention to what is showing you its completion and its fruition, how far something can go, and now whether or not it's time to move on to something else, or again, build it into something bigger and grow it into something more. A lot of the times 999s can also show up where a wish is being granted, and you have to pay attention to where something that we've already put out there is going to be bearing itself to you in the form that matches most not only the energy you're bringing to the circumstance and your environment, but exactly what you put into setting that intention in the first place. Looking at it with non-judgment, but also seeing it for what you made it be. So I think that's a good stopping point as far as this video is concerned. I hope you enjoyed this rundown and overview of the numbers, and this is going to be the framework from which we build on these topics and on these lessons. If you see numbers, you know, in greater quantities, maybe you're seeing 5 4s, or maybe you are seeing 4 9s, remember what each individual digit means, but then also don't forget that the most important thing are the numbers that comprise the sequence. So 4 5s, for instance, can indicate a lot of disruption going on, but it's the disruption to a foundation that may require a disruption. However, if you see 5 4s, it can indicate a new foundation being made or new stability coming out of maybe conflict, a disruption, or dissonance that is actually for the greater good. And remember, always look at these things with complete neutrality, non-judgment, and again, we're not breaking anything into good, evil, black and white. Again, we need to evolve away from trying to make things too simplistic. The limitations of our language, the limitations of our imagination, mark the borders and the limitations of our universe and the possibilities of our experience. I will come back with more number talks here soon, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you ever want to get a reading with me, you can always go to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.